Yo. Welcome back to Tremonte and Friends Boxing. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we're going to get right into it. This is not an official prediction for Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford going down September 13th live on Netflix, but this will be an extensive breakdown on both of their strengths and their weaknesses. And I'll start with the challenger moving up in weight, Terence Crawford. One of Terence Crawford's main strengths is his IQ. And you hear that a lot from boxing fans. You hear that from people who fought him. You hear that from fighters. You hear that from media. People on YouTube say IQ. What does IQ mean? IQ can mean many things in the ring. Terence Crawford is very aware of what he's doing in the ring and what his other opponent is and isn't doing. He's also aware on how he's fighting and how it's impacting the fight. What do I mean by that? There are times, as you can go back to the Shawn Porter fight, he was made aware, going back to my first point, that the fight was close, that he might even be down. And then you've seen the infamous clip of him saying, watch this, and then he goes and knocks Shawn Porter down. Terence Crawford knows when the fight is close. He knows when he's not dominating, he needs to step it up and do something that may not fare well in the fight with Canelo, because you just can't turn up on Canelo as a smaller fighter, but he may be able to. We'll have to see. His IQ, he also knows he's setting you up. People will say in the first few rounds of fights that Terence Crawford is quote unquote downloading information. And what they're essentially saying is he's being patient and he's studying you. He's studying your feints. He's studying your movements. He's studying your habits. He's studying to see if you're going to tire out. He's studying to see if you've blew your whole load already. He's studying to see what can I pick apart from him 2 rounds from now, 3 rounds from now. Another strength of his in regards to his IQ, I'm still on the IQ. Another strength in regards to his IQ. Terence Crawford knows how to bait you. He knows he's not like the biggest puncher, but he knows he does have pop and he does have that wrestler strength that people know about and refer to a lot. He knows how to bait you. He knows how to set traps. He did that well against Errol Spence. He did that against Shawn Porter. He did that against Kell Brook. Virtually every fight, he's setting you up. And it takes a different type of mind. It takes a special mind like Terence Crawford to know when I start putting the pressure on you and you start getting hurt, I'm going to get you up out of there. That's IQ and killer instinct. Because a lot of the times, if somebody's hurt, if you see a fighter get hurt, the other fighter won't go finish him off. The other fighter is a little apprehensive in finishing him off because one wrong move, you can get knocked down. When Terence Crawford smells blood, he's going to kill you. He's going to finish you off. And that's all in the mind. That's all in studying your opponent. And I remember this is how far with boxing. I remember when Terence Crawford fought Hank Lundy. And he knocked Hank Lundy down. I think Hank Lundy got up. But he was taking his time. Like, he knocked him down. He didn't just rush in and just start throwing wildly. He did that against Gamboa way back in the day. But as he's matured, you go to the Hank Lundy fight, you go to the Kell Brook fight, you go to the Errol Spence fight. He's patient even when he has you hurt. He's picking his shots on purpose. And that is a skill. I could go into more things about his IQ, but I don't want the video to get too long. Another strength that Terence Crawford has is his footwork. His footwork at this stage, even though he hasn't fought at 168 and he'll be carrying more weight, presumably, he might come in a little under the 168 weight limit. At this stage in his career, even though he's older than Canelo, Crawford's feet are better than Canelo's feet. Canelo has, good footwork, but Canelo is primarily flat-footed. He reminds me a lot of James Toney and how Canelo moves his upper body. He's kind of like James Toney in that regard, but Crawford's feet are better. He has crazy angles from where he punches at. He knows where he's at in the ring. You rarely see Terence Crawford on the ropes. It's rare you see him on the ropes in any of his fights. It's rare you see him on the ropes. That goes back to his ring generalship and his footwork. He's not going to position himself up against the ropes because he knows that's where he doesn't operate at his best. Another strength that Terence Crawford has is speed. Now, again, I can't just emphatically say he has a speed advantage because I can't say you're faster at a weight that you haven't fought at. You're faster at 147 and 154 than Canelo is, but are you faster at 168 than Canelo is? And Canelo's been fighting at that weight for years. I would still probably edge it to Terence Crawford with his hand speed. I actually think Canelo's a little quicker. I think Terence Crawford's faster with his hands, but I think Canelo's a little quicker with his hands. Crawford has a better punch selection. He throws combinations. Canelo, in the past couple of fights, I would say several fights, he doesn't throw many combinations like that. I think combo Canelo is long gone. He might bring it back to this fight since he seems motivated, but Crawford puts his punches together. Great body punching placement, hook placement. Terence Crawford, I also think, is better when it comes to gauging distance in fights. He has a longer reach than Canelo, so he'll probably try to use that to his advantage. He also knows how to. It's one thing to have the reach, but to know how to use it. He'll be right in range, and then he'll step out of range and get right back in range, especially when Terence Crawford gets hit, which goes into my strength here. I believe, now this could not fare well for Terence Crawford, so hold me to this. I believe Terence Crawford responds just as good to getting hit as Canelo. I would say, I would probably, now that I'm saying it out loud, I would probably edge Canelo. When Canelo, he rolls off punches better than Crawford does. When Canelo gets hit, he wants some get back. When Crawford gets hit, we all know he wants some get back immediately. That might work against him. But I think his response, he doesn't respond as if like, oh my God, it's a crazy punch, I'm hurt. He doesn't shell up, which lends credence to his grit and to his confidence. I think he can take a punch. Now, can he take Canelo's punch at 168? That has yet to be seen. Another strength for Crawford, and I'm not going to go through all of his strengths. I just want to point some things out, for the viewers and for the fans to look for in the fight. Terence Crawford is like a master, and you don't see a lot of masters of things in boxing. Terence Crawford is a master of, I believe, guard manipulation. He can fight from the high guard. He can act like he's fighting from the high guard. He can switch stances, which has to do with your guard. He can switch stances. He's a switch hitter. But he doesn't. Canelo fights with a high guard. He's going to fight with the high guard. He's going to walk you down. Terence Crawford can fight with the high guard. He did that against Madrimov, but he can fight in his regular stance too, as you can see in the Madrimov fight. He was doing a lot of tricky, nuanced things in the Madrimov fight. I think he's better at guard manipulation than Canelo. Canelo is what you see, what you get. You just have to stop it, and most people can't stop it. Only 2 people have gotten around it as far as his record is concerned. So those are some of Terence Crawford's strengths. He obviously has a lot more strengths as a fighter, but I think those things stand out, and they'll show, in the fight. Terence Crawford's weaknesses, his main weakness is he's a smaller guy, and that's not something he can control. But you're moving up 2, almost 3 weight classes if you count the one fight at 154 with Madrimov. He wasn't at the weight for a long time. You didn't fight at 160. You didn't even have a fight at 168. So just going there and fighting another Hall of Famer, bona fide superstar, is going to be tough. He's a smaller guy. That's to his disadvantage. Canelo is used to fighting bigger guys, much bigger than he is, and knocking them down. So when he fights somebody that may be his size or smaller, we just have to wait to see how it turns out. Another weakness that Crawford has in the ring that I see is that he gets hit clean too much, especially at this age. I think in your younger years, you can try to get away with it a little bit because you have more punch resistance up to, to a degree. But as you get older, and Crawford's older than Canelo, he's been out of the ring for a minute. You can't take clean punches like that against Canelo. You're going to get knocked out or you're going to get knocked down. Terence Crawford's defense is good. Everybody gets hit. So I'm not saying you have to be Floyd Mayweather or Sweet Pea. Everybody gets hit, but he gets hit cleanly too much. And those Madrimov right hands, you can't take right hands like that against Canelo. And Crawford knows that. His team knows that. Another weakness Crawford has, which I mentioned was a strength of his, it can also translate to a weakness, is when he gets hit, when somebody gets off on him, he wants to immediately get back. And that's just the spirit of a fighter. I love that about him. You cannot do that against Canelo. Because if you go up there and try to exchange with Canelo, it might be the last exchange for the night. Again, Canelo fights bigger fighters, and you're not that big. So we're going to see, how it pans out. My last weakness, that'll say Crawford don't have like a myriad of weaknesses. He's a sturdy guy. More strengths than weaknesses. Every boxer has a weakness or something that they're not good at. But the last weakness, or something that I think will work will work against him. It's a disadvantage of him going to the fight that I haven't seen many people touch on enough, his inactivity. Crawford does not fight enough. For your last fight to be Madrimov, and for you to go a year without, he's sparring, he's always in shape, but under those bright lights against a bigger guy, you didn't test yourself again at 154, 160, or 168, and you're just going to come in, I'm presuming, thinking you're just going to beat the guy who just fought in May, even though it wasn't a good performance, referring to Canelo. That is going to, more than anything I've named for Crawford, that ring rust will be to his demise, in my opinion. Canelo Alvarez. Both of these guys are Hall of Fame fighters, legends, the best of our generation, in my opinion. I'll start with Canelo's weaknesses. He's flat-footed. Crawford's footwork is better than his. He moves around better. Crawford's older. He moves around better than Canelo. Canelo has a lot more wear and tear. He's been fighting since, I think Canelo's been fighting since he was 8, fighting professionally since he was 15. I heard Canelo's fighting like grown men in Mexico. He's flat-footed. When Canelo fought Daniel Jacobs and when he fought Caleb Plant, he showed his footwork. Like, he can move, I guess when he's motivated. But Crawford's always shown his footwork. He's always shown that he can get around things. Crawford's longer, too, than Canelo. Canelo has like a compact size. It kind of reminds me of like Mike Tyson, the way Mike Tyson is built. He's slow feet. And with Crawford, I don't know what the ring size is going to be. They haven't officially announced it. I just assume it's going to be a regular ring. Canelo doesn't like chasing people around, people who have good footwork. Now, when you're running like William Score, there's not much you can do, but you could tell Canelo's just like, I'm not finna chase you around, but his feet aren't as good as they used to be. So he has slow feet. Another thing Canelo doesn't vary his punches anymore. He used to when he was younger. High guard, walk you down. Canelo doesn't jab a lot anymore either. I think that's a weakness of his because that sets up all the other punches. He's going to walk you down. He's going to hit you to the body. He's going to do that overhand right. He's going to feint. And he's going to try to counterpunch. And the thing is, you just have to stop it. You know what's coming, but can you stop it? And, I don't think that's the best plan for Crawford. I think he needs to vary it up a little bit to throw Crawford off, but that's my opinion. Who am I? Another weakness, I'm doing this off the top of my head. I don't have no paper. I'm not looking at nothing, I'm doing it off the top of my head, just watching the fighters throughout the years. Another weakness Canelo has is Canelo, he has this self-belief, which every fighter should have in any competitive sport. Canelo has this belief that if he hits you, you're going to respect his power. And most of the time, that's true. But I think Crawford is up for the fight. I think he's really up for the fight. I think Crawford's trying to win. I don't think he's trying to cash out for a payday. If he hits Crawford, in my opinion, I think it'll affect Crawford. But if Crawford comes off like he's not affected, I don't think Canelo's going to respond very well. I think, and when I say belief is everything. When you believe something's going to happen, and then you're in the ring or whatever endeavor you're involved in, and it's not going your way, it can push your confidence, down the drain. I'm not saying that will happen to Canelo, because usually when he hits people, they either get knocked down, they go to sleep. But if you hit Crawford, and Crawford throughout the fight, he's just responding like, "Oh, this ain't really nothing." Crawford did that against a drained Errol Spence. Errol Spence hit him, and he was like, "This ain't gonna be enough," and that'll mess with your courage, man. And with Canelo, he's probably banking like, my power's going to be too much. But what if it's not? I think it will be, but what if it's not? And then your belief in yourself throughout the fight is going down the drain. Like, dang, I can't really hit him clean. When I do hit him, it's not phasing him. I think that can work against Canelo as well. The last weakness I'll name for Canelo, and I'm a huge Canelo fan. Big Bud fan, I'm a huge Canelo fan. Canelo's one of my favorite fighters of this generation. A weakness that Crawford will be able to exploit is Canelo, the last few fights, he doesn't move his head a lot. The Daniel Jacobs fight is the infamous head movement. He was moving his head in the Caleb Plant fight a little bit, but even that was years ago. He doesn't move his head a lot. So that means he's susceptible to straight punches. Now, you can say he's just baiting. I'm just sitting here waiting for you to throw something. I'm going to come with something crazy. That could be true too. But I think in a fight of this magnitude, when I think Crawford's going to just try to really box him, you can't just be getting hit like that. He doesn't move his head a lot. Now, Canelo could be practicing all this stuff because he's been sparring with Jaron Ennis and a bunch of people. He could be like, I'm moving my head this fight because Crawford ain't going to tag me. But that's just from what I know from watching Canelo in the last few years of his career. He doesn't move his head as much. Canelo's strength. He's been at 168. He's the reigning undisputed champion there. That's a strength. When somebody's coming up to your weight or down if they're draining themselves, and you always make this weight and you're comfortable fighting at this weight, that's a strength that Canelo has. People's like, oh, that's not going to matter against Crawford. Yes, it is. Crawford's never fought this high in weight. Floyd Mayweather is not going to move from 147 to 160 and fight Triple G. He's not going to do that. He didn't do it because that's not smart to do. That's not saying that he didn't dare to be great, because I think Floyd's the best ever. But you're not going to move from 147 to 160 to fight Triple G, or to 168 and fight anybody. It's just too little. As great as Floyd is, he's too little. So I think that's the strength. Another strength is Canelo is his power. Canelo knocks down bigger people than Terence Crawford. He's knocked down Caleb Plant, who he knocked him out. He knocked him down before he knocked him out. He knocked down Munguia, knocked down Berlanga. He's knocking down guys who choose to engage with him. Crawford is going to engage, and we just have to see how he responds. But anybody typically who engages with Canelo, William Skoll did not, they get knocked down. So his power is real at the weight. Canelo's IQ, it's not as good as Terence Crawford's, but I think it's 1B. If Terence Crawford's 1A, I think it's 1B. I think Canelo knows where he's at in the ring. I think Canelo just, a lot of the times, when especially like when people put him on the ropes, I think he's like happy. Like, yeah, I want some. Canelo likes to fight, man. And Crawford likes to fight. So when he's in the ring, when he's circling the ring, Canelo knows how to cut off the ring. People take his last performance. You're only as good as your last performance. I understand. Like, he don't know how to cut off the ring anymore. He knows how to cut off the ring. And I believe he will show everybody the night of the fight. He can. It's just that he's not going to. Remember with the fight with William Skoll, and it's a bad performance. It was in the morning. Riyadh season. It was in the morning, and Skoll was just running around the ring. He cut off the ring against Berlanga. He cut off the ring against Caleb Plant. He can cut off the ring when he feels motivated to do so. And I've been seeing interviews with Canelo with him saying this fight is important for his legacy. He's up. He's up and he's motivated. And I think the worst thing you can have is a motivated Canelo for a smaller fighter with Terence Crawford. Another strength Canelo has is Canelo has a good inside. He wants to fight inside. I don't think Terence Crawford will want to fight Canelo on the inside at 168. This ain't Canelo fighting David Benavidez. It's Canelo fighting a smaller fighter. He loves to fight inside. And if Crawford chooses to fight that way because he's like, man, I'm just going to get down and dirty, Crawford will get knocked out. He will get knocked out if he chooses to fight inside with Canelo. Canelo can take punches well. I said in another video, man, you can hit Canelo with a hammer. He probably just laugh and just start, keep being defensive, keep fighting. And his defense is really good on the inside, which goes to my next strength. Canelo's defense is better than Terence Crawford's. His upper body movement is superior. I think he's going to move his head this fight. Also, he knows how to step out of range. He knows what he's doing. He has more experience than Terence Crawford fighting. And all this stuff, I think, will rear its head come fight night. So those are just a few of the weaknesses and the strengths of Canelo and Terence Crawford that I wanted to share with y'all. Y'all can point out some more strengths and weaknesses. I can't do every single solitary strength and weakness, but I wanted to touch on a few, while I had some time. I think the fight will be great while it lasts. Again, my official prediction will probably come to y'all the day before the fight. I'll probably drop a couple of more videos as we move closer towards this momentous occasion. Please subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share the video. Give me your opinions. My opinion isn't golden. I'm not somebody who thinks what I think is right. So a lot of times I'm wrong, and that's how you learn. But my prediction for this fight, y'all can pick out the words from what I've been saying in these videos, but the official one will come a day before the fight. I think it'll be Canelo has more to lose than Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford has more to gain. I just hope whether whoever you have winning, I hope the person gets their full credit for winning. And I hope the person who loses gets criticized. That's only fair. But holla at me, Tremont and Friends Boxing. Again, subscribe, and I'll get with y'all soon. Peace.